Hi everyone. Today I want to tell you about Samr, which is a technology model. It kind of goes along with Bloom's taxonomy, but for technology. Think about it this way, kind of think about it like a coffee cup, coffee drinks. The S stands for substitution. It acts as a direct tool substitution with no functional change. So instead of giving a test on paper, you give a test on the computer. It's just substituting what you would normally do on paper with something electronically. So it's just like a cup of coffee, normal little cup of coffee. The next level is augmentation. This is where technology acts as a direct tool substitute with functional improvement. So again, you're just kind of substituting it, but it gives a little bit of improvement to it this way, like a latte. Modification. This is where technology allows for significant task redesign. So think of it like a caramel macchiato. It redesigns it, makes it completely different in some type of way. And then the highest level is redefinition. This is where technology allows for the creation of new tasks previously inconceivable. Things that you never thought 10 years ago could be done are now being done. So maybe talking to an author via Skype or Zoom or something along those lines. And in coffee terms, think of it like a pumpkin spice. It completely changes the coffee. It's not just coffee anymore, it's completely changed into a new drink. So, substitution. This is where we're using it to perform the same task that was already done, but using the computers instead. So, these are some examples of some apps that you could use: iBooks, Pages, Geoboard, things like basic web searching on Google, or printing off a worksheet and putting it into an online format. It's basically the same thing, but you're doing it using technology. That's the lowest level. Then we move up to augmentation. This is computer technology offers an effective tool to perform common tasks, but there's functional improvement. Here are some other apps that you could use to do this. Um, this is one where you can create some kind of web design, um, map minding thing that you can use to do what you would normally do on paper, but you're doing it on the computer and it gives it improvement. And then also Google Docs. Google Docs definitely improves things, doesn't completely redesign the assignment, but it gives it functional improvement. The next level is modification. This is where you're enhancing the traditional goings of the classroom and transforming the classroom. So you're starting that transformation here. Keynotes and apps, Sketch, Edmodo is one that you can use, Padlet. These are things where you're using the technology and it's beginning to transform things that you possibly couldn't do before, but you're starting to be able to now, just not in as great of a depth as you would with redefinition. Redefinition is the highest level. This is where the computer technology allows for new tasks that were previously inconceivable, things that you never thought you would be able to do before. These are some apps that you can use. Nearpod, if you have not used that one, it's awesome. It's interactive lessons. You can do a presentation like a PowerPoint, but it has interactive features in it. So as you're going through, kids can answer questions. They can do a collaboration board and give their thoughts on things. Where in the past, this was just raising their hands and not everybody would. It gives you 100% engagement. Skype, do something.org, Weebly. These are things that would allow for redefinition, the highest level. So think about it in this way. What will your students do? What type of assignments they're going to do, how they're going to do it, and this will get your different levels. Now, you may not always get to that redefinition level, and that's okay. Sometimes you're just going to do substitution and it's starting, because just like Bloom's, you're going to start with the lower level and then you're going to move up. So these are going to give you some ideas on different things that you can do. If you want to do augmentation, you can take notes, but you're not going to take notes on pencil and paper. You might use Evernote instead. Online maps where they can visually see it. And, with online maps, you can move it around and do things with it instead of a paper map that you can simply just look at. Until you get to those higher levels where you start redesigning, transforming the lesson, like a blog or audio files, podcasts, things like that. And then redefinition going for a global audience, a digital portfolio that students create, global collaboration, meeting with people from across the world, another class, other students, things that you couldn't do before. So this kind of combines Samr and Bloom's, some examples of some verbs and activities that you can do. Think of the S in Samr substitution is like remembering, basic things that you can do, Google searching, note taking, highlighting, and it gives you verbs. The A, augmentation, applying and analyzing, gives you some ideas here, mind maps. The M, modification, you're going to remix things, do a survey, make inferences, and again, you have some verbs. And then the highest level, the redefinition, evaluating and creating and making things like videos, editing them, multimedia presentations, game development, things that were not able to be done before that can now be done. But this puts it together with Bloom. So when you're creating lessons, you can use these verbs in your lessons for your objectives and get to the highest level that's possible. Again, another example, using Bloom's technology and Samr together, the task, how they're going to read it, how they're going to present it, how the assessment's going to be done. This gives you some ideas on things you can do. And like I said, sometimes you're going to be at the substitution level, and that's perfectly fine, but you just don't want to always be at that level. You want to try and move up. So you want to try and implement things slowly. If you're new to this, that's fine. If you're getting some substitution done, great. In a few years or a few months, maybe, you'll be moving up depending on how well you get at implementing things. Again, another example, some note taking. You want to do substitution, do it using an app. Augmentation, they might choose their own notes to use an app. Modification, they use Notability. Redefinitions, teachers have access to all the students' notes, where in the beginning, student takes notes, teacher doesn't see it, but now the teacher would have access to all the students' notes. Researching, simply copying and pasting information, going all the way up to collaborative mind maps. Presentation, making a presentation just like you normally would, but using technology, using an iPad, all the way up to a Nearpod presentation, where it's interactive and engaging. And then file sharing, reading, assessments, you can see the same thing. Google form tests, that's something a lot of people use. That's just on the substitution level, which like I said, is fine, you're starting. But then if you can get up to creating assignments with audio feedback, that would give you that redefinition level. So I hope this helps you to implement Samr into your classroom. Use those verbs, combine it with Bloom's, and get your technology level kicked up as high as you can. If you have any questions, please let me know.